Tonight on the A Zone, we will be discussing dry fire time length, shooting with bent versus locked elbows, and we'll be announcing our group drill that we hope you all will join us in participating with. So first up, we have dry fire time length, and this discussion started with how long we spend on dry fire in a given practice session, and does that change depending on the types of things that we're practicing? So what do you guys think about that? How does your dry fire normally go?
I usually think about doing it, and then I start up COD and play that instead.
And how long does that last?
On average, probably like 4 to 5 hours until
That's
I rage
a
quit.
lot of dry fire.
Oh, no, I meant playing COD.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so I think for me during the season, I normally dry fire like 45 minutes to an hour, but I take a lot of breaks in between because otherwise my hands will be totally smoked. So it's probably realistically more like 20 minutes of like actual dry fire with like me goofing around for a bunch of filler time just so I can spread it out. And that tends to be the most enjoyable and easy to do for me personally. What about you guys?
That's crazy. I was gonna say mine's like 15 minutes, and that's like that's not subtracting out goofing off time. It's like I put on my belt, and then I'll like play on my phone for 10 minutes, and then I dry fire for 2 minutes, and then I'll play with my phone again for like 3 minutes, and I take my belt off.
Yeah, I'm normally in here for 45 minutes to an hour, I think. But again, it's like that's not constant dry fire. But I like to spread it out. I don't like to cram it all into 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'm like in the 30 to 45 minute camp, and about half of that is actual dry fire time. The other half is screwing around and letting my hands rest.
Yeah.
You guys have way better attention span than I do. Holy shit, do I get bored?
So
I mean, depending on the drill, sometimes it just feels good to like actually notice some improvement.
Yeah, I just like hate myself and hammer on it until I hate myself slightly less.
You are a self-loathing person.
All right, so I think the more interesting part of this question, though, is does that ever change for you guys depending on the types of things that you're practicing? Not everybody at once.
I'm trying to think. It's like I'm mostly practicing one thing these days.
I normally do 2 or 3 things when I dry fire.
Sorry, I meant like I'll do like 2 things max, but it's gonna be in the same topical area. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I got you.
So mostly it's transitions for me, but there's not like it doesn't change like drill. Like I'm not gonna be like, well, this drill sucks, and so it gets 5 minutes, and this drill is awesome, so it gets 10.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know if my time really change, but I will spend a certain amount of time doing different things based on how much needs to be addressed. So like for me, like I need to work more on vision stuff, so transitions. But like kind of getting back into the season, I was doing draws, like more draws than I normally would because I hadn't done them in so long. And same with the reloads. So like I do like draws and reloads kind of separately from everything else, like all the vision type stuff and transitions. So I kind of save the reloads for the end when I'm like pretty much like completely pooped from doing all the heavy vision stuff, and I just kind of save the last bit of it for like the simple mindless things like reloads.
Do you guys practice reloads?
I have to, dude.
Some of us actually have to do them at matches, so
I do like use like 6 magazines per stage.
I use like 6 magazines of the match.
Must be nice.
No, I legitimately have 6 magazines. I never reload a big stick.
All right, big man.
Jeez.
Wow.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think for me, I normally will do a mix of kind of like the physical mechanics, like draws and reloads, mixed in with some transitions and more visual stuff. I think because at least for me, the visual stuff seems to be a little bit more like mentally, I don't want to say exhausting, but like you have to actually be paying attention, and you can only pay attention like for so long before you just kind of stop caring. And then the reloads, not that you want to necessarily totally turn your brain off and just mindlessly do reloads, but it's more physical than being like mentally focused for that, in my opinion. So I think mixing it up for me kind of balances it.
For me, I personally like. I'll dry fire over a time span of like 30 minutes. Uh, half of it I'll be doing some kind of visual exercise. So like I'll be looking at different targets on different walls, and then the rest of the time is some kind of mechanics thing, whether that's reloads, draws, swinging the gun around, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like to mix it in the same drill. So like one of the ones I like to do is I have, you guys can't see this, but I have set up on one of my walls like just a bunch of targets, and I'll do I think it's Hwanzik's drill originally. I'll do that like designated target drill, and I'll just, and so that drill, if you're not familiar, is you like pick a single target and then you transition back and forth between that single target and a bunch of other almost random targets. Like you pick them before you do the drill, but it doesn't really matter what they are. It's just various different things. So it's a lot of target transitions, and so that would be like heavily visual, obviously. But then I'll just like obviously I'll do a draw for that I'll start from the holster, and then I'll just like throw a reload in somewhere. And so I like to mix it up that way because it kind of balances it, rather than doing like, oh, I'm only going to do reloads for 5 minutes, and then after that I'm only going to do transitions. It just, for me personally, I like to kind of mix them together a little bit.
Yeah, I do that too, and I use I guess I see how I do as far as performance on the reloads in the like the overall drills, like the transitions and stuff. And then depending on how they are, that's kind of when I'll decide if I want to do isolations on the reloads.
Yeah, I think I don't know why, but for me personally too, like mixing reloads into like some bigger drill, like whatever it is, for me is just like more realistic practice than doing like hold the gun on the target at the beep, do a reload, and then bring the gun back to the target. I don't know why. It's probably because I'm not doing it very well, but that never translated super well to like actual live fire for me. So like mixing it into the drill on a personal level helps me more.
I think for you, you like to integrate everything and like everything done kind of at once. That's what I noticed with you. For someone like me, I like to section things off separately. That way, that is the specific focus. And then, like at the end of a session, I'll tie everything back together onto whatever drill it was, like crisscross again or something like El Perez. And like I just want to focus on that specific mechanic.
Yeah, I think you're right. And honestly, I probably should try to isolate some individual skills more. So you're totally right. I really like thinking about it now. I rarely do that. So that's an
We talked
interesting
about this on our
observation.
last episode.
Yeah, we did.
How to practice the drill.
Yeah. Don't listen to me is the long story short.
The last episode we totally did a week ago.
Oh yeah. Not today for sure. All right, well, does anyone have any other thoughts on the amount of time you spend on dry fire and or how that relates to what you're doing?
Yeah, if your hands aren't getting tired, you're probably not holding your gun hard enough.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the main reason I can agree with that is because I was one of those people who did that wrong for a long time.
Same.
So yeah, it's like, and not just so for me it's like my support hand will get tired because you should be clamping down really hard with that, and then the like fingertips on my firing hand will also get not tired but like kind of chewed up. So I have some pretty aggressive grips on my gun. So when that starts to happen, that's kind of how I know I've had it for the day. Because after that, it's like you find yourself getting sloppy on grip just because your hands are kind of torched. So if that's not happening, consider like what you said. you probably aren't gripping realistically in dry fire.
Yeah, and it's like, if you're used to shooting matches, you only shoot for maybe a minute and a half, per match. But if you're dry firing for 20 minutes, like that's what, I don't know, I'm bad at mental math, but we'll call it 10, 30, 10, 15-ish times longer than you would hold a gun in a match.
Yeah.
The way you're supposed to. Like your muscles definitely aren't used to that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of coming back to how I said I take a lot of breaks. So I do like 15 to 20 minutes of dry fire spread out over an hour. For me, it helps because it lets me like think about what I'm doing and give myself kind of a mental and physical break. Because if you wait about 5 minutes, usually you can kind of squeeze out some more from your hands. Whereas if you try to do it all straight, your hands are just dead.
I think another important aspect to like dry fire time length, not necessarily just to like a day, but like let's just say over the course of a week, you also have to be mentally motivated to want to do it, not necessarily setting yourself to a schedule like every single day I'm going to do this at like 5 o'clock after work. It's like, you know what, do I want to dry fire today? All right, yeah, let's do it. Or like, no, like my hands are pretty smoked from, I don't know, lifting wrenches or whatever. Yeah, probably not a good idea to dry fire that day.
I think it depends on your skill level and also like how you're wired. Some people need to force themselves to dry fire or else they won't do it at all. And then other people need to force themselves to take a break or they'll burn out. So
Yeah.
it just kind of depends.
Yeah,
So-
I like to hold myself to a schedule. With some exceptions, I'm not like super brutal about it, but I like to hold myself to a schedule during the shooting season. And then during the off season, I just do whatever I feel like, which usually amounts to like once every other week. But I think for me, it's like I can spare 45 minutes to an hour a night for most of the shooting season. Maybe with some exceptions. And I don't always want to do it, but usually I'm pretty motivated to do it.
Yeah, like I don't want to sometimes, but I end up doing it anyway. And usually it turns out to be like a positive experience. Still learn
Yeah.
stuff. Even when you go into it like, man, I would rather be, watching Netflix right now or whatever.
I found like that the most annoying part for me is like actually putting my belt on. It's like once I have the belt on, it's like I'm cool with dry firing. But it's like,
I saw
oh,
Calvin.
God.
I saw Calvin dry fire the other day. He just put his belt on over his shit. He didn't even like move it through his belts. Is that your thing now?
I just put it over my sweatpants. I don't put my inner belt on and loop it through the fucking.
That's
loop.
smart.
That's a pain in the ass.
It is. That's why I don't
Sweatpants. Are
want
you preparing to go to Russia?
Yes.
You don't have to go to Russia. They'll be here.
Yeah.
That's true.
If I go to Russia, he means like just down the street.
But I mean, it's
Give it a couple
really
weeks.
yeah, it's really not that much different. Like I don't know, it's like it feels the same as having your inner belt on. I've even gone to the range like that where like I didn't really feel like putting on real pants, so I just kind of put my belt on over my shirt.
It'd be funny as fuck if you
out there in your
unironically shoot
undies.
like that.
That's
just-
an image to
just-
see. It's just Calvin in his whitey tighties and a belt on.
You should just unironically shoot a match like that and clap some birds.
Fight like you train, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we just shut Connor's mind down.
You know
Yeah,
what? I just
you guys
realized
lost me.
that's how you can make your USPSA belt IDPA legal. You put only the outer belt on, and then you sew belt loops over your USPSA
Yeah,
belt.
I was about to say they have a rule about how many belt loops it goes through.
Yeah,
Because that's
3.
what matters in practical shooting is your belt loops.
That's
They don't
that's very
say
specific.
what your
They
belt
do
loops
actually.
have
Yeah.
to be made of, so you can like make them out of tape, right?
Yeah, you would probably get away with it, but you would have to put up with the snide remarks of the old guy SOs throughout the whole match, so it's just not worth it.
I'm gonna tell them to read the rule book of their own sport.
They don't do that.
I know, we experienced it.
Getting back to topic.
Wait, no. Let's stay where we're at.
Okay.
I've actually never asked you guys. Do you
Hold
guys
on.
need IDPA? What's
Let
going
me
on?
stop. Let me stop the recording so we can start. Are we gonna
I
go
have-
down this road?
I have nothing but nice things to say about our IDPA brethren.
I've shot IDPA twice and it fucking sucked both times.
I've done it. I think actually twice also.
I have
And-
not.
And
I've-
there's a guy that we shoot with, or used to shoot with together, that I like a lot. But when he was shooting IDPA, he made me mad as fuck because of cover calls, and I was like, nah, I'm done.
Well, they don't do that anymore now. They have fault lines.
So is
Yep.
it just
Fault
USPSA now?
lines. No,
No, there's still
sadly
rules
it's not.
on how you can engage, like what order you can engage the targets and stuff.
So still gay then. Okay, got it.
Yeah, they literally give you a stage plan effectively down to the order of engagement of every array, and like you're not like you get penalized for deviating from that.
All right, I don't have enough alcohol for this discussion. Let's move on.
I like Okay, I really don't, but
All right, that was a good discussion on dry fire.
how do we even get onto the IDPA topic?
It's
You did.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
what did
this is your fault. I'm not sure how that happened, but it is definitely.
Yeah, I don't know
sounds
what
like
led to it.
All right. Well, so next up, we have the question of should you shoot with bent versus locked elbows, and this is of course referring to with a handgun, and kind of other body positioning and grip related questions from that. And I think this spurred from some recent stuff on social media talking about this specific topic. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Both. You want your right arm holding the gun straight, but then your left hand underneath the base plate and your left elbow bent. This is called a Weaver stance.
Well, you only have to do that because your metal gun is so heavy, and it's like you have to, hold it up with your other hand. So,
There you go. Chloe's got it.
yeah, that's pretty tactical right there. But I think so. Personally, I shoot with. I wouldn't say locked elbows, but my elbows are mostly extended. I think, but they're not. Big difference between extended and locked. Because I agree, you don't want locked elbows, but I also, I don't know, I'm not going to name names, but the picture referenced had elbows like substantially bent, and I definitely don't do that, and I don't think it's necessary. Also, I'm not sure if it hurts at all, though.
Wait,
I think
we're
it
not gonna do the
depends.
thing. We're not gonna do the thing where you like say their name, but like kind of off.
Do what
Yeah,
now?
You're not gonna
like it sounds like something.
exactly.
Oh. Oh, God. The only thing that I can think of is mucus. That seems rude, but
Jeez.
I'm sorry. No, I actually think this is one of those rare instances where I kind of agreed with the sentiment of the post. But I definitely, like, personally, I don't bend my elbows as much as this person was. But again, I don't think it actually hurts. I think it's kind of like personal preference.
I think a lot of it has to do with maybe like strength. If you look at the guys who can bend their elbows and shoot really well, they're typically like they look like they have like more upper body strength, so they can hold their arms in place. But for me, since I'm like super weak, it's easier for me to extend my arms, not so straight that I'm locked, but almost, and that way I can use my skeletal structure to help me return the gun, as opposed to having my elbows bent and using my muscles to return the gun. But that's pure speculation because I'm not a built kind of guy, but that's kind of what I see.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that actually. I've never thought about it from that perspective, so that's interesting. Yeah. Huh.
Have you guys applied like a lot of thought to it?
What's that?
Hello, what?
A lot of thought to it. I'm guessing. I'm guessing this is not something we've dwelled on.
I put a little bit of thought into it.
No, I haven't thought about it. I just kind of do what felt natural. I will say again, you don't want to lock your elbows completely because then there's no like shock absorber built in there. But I also think as long as you just don't have your elbows locked, it's kind of comes down to personal preference.
So for
Like-
me, I discovered it just through experimentation. I learned how to shoot. I guess my first performance class was with a guy. We'll call him Tank Mochter. That's what. And like, and he's really big on like a very bent elbows style of shooting. And for years, I tried to copy it and was not successful at all. And what really threw me over the edge was with doubles drill. Like I could not keep the rounds together at all, going at the speeds Ben had in his book. So it really just forced me to experiment and try, different body positions and elbow positions to really, find what works with my body structure. And for me, just having my arms more straight and my elbows slightly higher than what I learned from this Tank Mochter, it helped me out. So, and if you watch like more like smaller statured people or people who don't have like immense upper body strength and they try to do this really bent elbow um, shooting stance, you'll see that the elbows bend when they shoot quite a bit, and it gives them a lot of muzzle rise, and it makes it pretty difficult to return consistently if you've ever
Yeah.
tried it.
I'm trying it right now, and I don't know. It seems like if I start to bend my elbows, I get like an awkward. I have to do an awkward angle with my wrist to keep the gun level. Like if I'm
But then you-
extended, it's nice and level, but as I start to bend it, like my natural tendency is to point up, and so I would have to like fight that to keep. I don't know. It feels very awkward to me.
I
That's
mean,
just
you got
my
guys
personal.
like Ray Ray Jacuzzi. He can bend his elbows, not nearly as much as like Tank Mochter, but still fairly bent, and he's able to control the gun quite well.
Yeah, and I mean, well, first of all, to your point, he's in fantastic physical shape, and
Right.
also, do you think that really matters? Would be my question, or do you think that's just like his natural tendency and it doesn't actually make a difference?
I don't. It made a difference for me. I, you know.
Well, I
But
mean, I
that's
think does it make it? Is it actually an improvement to like bend your elbows, or is your degree of bent elbows just what you should just do whatever your personal preference is?
I probably. I mean, we get into like kind of with rifle shooting, right? Like more bent elbows, a lot more mobility. I kind of see that as well in pistol shooting. So if I could shoot with bent elbows, I would probably opt to do that.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thought. I think for my thoughts personally on it are it comes down to like personal preference, and also I think more importantly than um like how your arms are bent, I think is the tension there. So if you have your arms really tensed up, it doesn't necessarily matter if they're extended or they're bent. You're gonna have trouble because of like, if you have all that tension in your arms, particularly with target transitions, you're gonna be imprecise. And like shooting and moving, if you have a bunch of tension in your arms as you move, like even if your elbows are bent, that means your arms are going to be like rock solid just with a bent elbow. They're going to bounce around like crazy when you move. But if you can kind of isolate that tension in your hands or specifically your support hand and keep your arms loose, they can be kind of like a shock absorber for as you shoot and move, and you'll have better transitions as well. Or at least
Yeah,
that's my experience.
one of the arguments I heard for the extreme bent elbows is that it is a better shock absorber. I would like that. None of us here shoot with really like heavily
Yeah.
bent elbows, though. We're all kind of mostly extended. It'd be kind of nice if we had someone who was more of a
Yeah.
bent elbow shooter to explain what they do and how it works.
Yeah, it would. My gut feeling tells me it has less to do with how bent their elbows are and more to do with the actual tension in their arms. Assuming you're not
And
locked elbows. I think locked elbows, you're obviously going to have a problem because then your arms are literally locked and it doesn't matter the muscle tension.
right, you
But
just
I
be
think
bouncing
like,
everywhere.
yeah, exactly. Assuming the elbow isn't locked, I think like the degree of bend is less important than the actual like arm tension.
So
But
that
that's
goes
just my
back
gut
to
feeling.
my hypothesis about the strength, the upper body strength.
You mean like if you're stronger in the upper body, you need less arm tension to control the
No,
gun with bent elbows?
No, it's easier for you to use, or you have more like strength in order to have the tension you need with bent elbows.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
So I guess upper body strength gives you more options. That means we should all go get workout, I guess.
Stop dry firing and go to the gym, everyone.
Maybe that's the surprise topic. I mean, what do you guys think? Does being fit help shooting? Like not
I
stuff
hope
around
not.
shooting, but actually shooting.
My body is in a rapid decline.
Hey, Coy, what'd you say? Not
It-
what, but what,
does
actually
being like not like the stuff around shooting, but like actual like shooting a
Physical
gun,
fitness.
gun handling is like fitness or strength conditioning meaningful?
I think to a small degree, if we're just purely talking about shooting.
Well, extremes only, Calvin.
Oh,
Black or white, yes or no?
I think the
I guess
fitness
the-
matters for sure, but I don't think it's like the end all be all.
Damn it, you guys are giving gray answers. I want that. Yes.
Okay, if you
definitely,
want-
or
if you
no.
Yes,
want a
I want
yes-
physical fitness does help you.
If
Yeah.
you want a yes or no, I think if you have to pick either or, you should focus on shooting and be really fat. That's my hot take. If you just care about USPSA and you cannot do both for some arbitrary reason, then get fat and get good at shooting.
I'm already fat, so all I have to do is get
Yeah, I
good at
know, right?
shooting.
It's like I'm already there.
Let's go.
But I
Should
think
get
the
that.
physical fitness definitely helps. I mean, you see people like JJ is the obvious one that comes to mind, and he's in like superhuman physical shape, but he also is really, really, really good at shooting.
Yeah,
So,
there's
is
no
he
one in
good?
USPSA. What's that?
Is he good because he's fit, or
That's
would he
probably
be good regardless?
I think it's like 95% his fantastic shooting, and then like maybe like 5% his fitness, because he does have like really impressive movement and like flow through stages. And I think he
Right,
can like round off the edges on the shooting a lot with movement because he has such good fitness. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand.
So there's plenty of people who are really out of shape but quite good at USPSA, but there's no
Who,
one.
Calvin?
I could say I'm like kind of there, but there's no one who is really in shape but bad at shooting and good at USPSA.
That's probably true. You can't run fast enough just like overcome the bad points.
Is there someone you're thinking of, Calvin?
I mean, there's like me, there's you.
Calvin,
Oh my god.
this is completely backward.
Burn.
Undo.
Oh my god. That was just mean. I'm afraid he's gonna call me out next. Like, yeah, Connor,
gets
you're
for putting
really out of shape too. Don't...
That's what he gets for putting me on the spot. Yeah, we can all think of some people who are really good at shooting, but maybe not in the tip-top physical condition. Yeah, but they're winning matches, or winning, or close to the top.
Yeah, no, if you just like take a step back and look at like the shooting challenges that you have to do in a typical USPSA match, there's running, but like really not that much, like it's maximum you run like 30 yards in a stage, and usually it's drastically less than that. So it's not a whole lot of I guess fitness required. All right.
I'm just recovering from that fucking sick burn.
Well, yeah, Koi has an excuse.
There's pizza in my mouth.
Well, cool. Yeah, so I think So one of the other, I was gonna say we're done with this topic, but one of the things that just popped in my head, I know we had this conversation privately, but what do you guys think as far as body positioning, whether that be arms or otherwise, versus grip? So this kind of came up. What are your thoughts on that?
Wait, I guess how's it versus?
Okay, yeah, versus is probably the wrong word, but so I think the way this came up when we were talking about it was, in my opinion at least, bent elbows or relatively arms extended maybe doesn't matter so much, but the important part would be like your grip. It's kind of like, yeah, don't lock your arms, but pretty much just do whatever you feel like with your arms, but your grip's got to be good. So I think, in my opinion, grip is kind of like that foundation, whereas body positioning is kind of do what your personal preference is and or what's dictated by the shooting challenge. Like if you have to do a lean, then your body positioning is going to be weird, but your grip kind of stays the same. Does that topic make sense to you guys, or what are your thoughts on that?
Are you looking for like an order of importance kind of thing?
If you want to take it that way, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say grip is a little bit more important because if you can't get the gun to recoil in a predictable pattern, then nothing else, if you're in like your lean, whatever odd body position, is really going to matter in your stage plan. Otherwise, like if you can unconsciously get that grip down, then you can focus on all the other body position stuff.
Yeah, and what comes to mind immediately for me is grip pretty much always stays the same. Like, yeah, so there's going to be some instances where you have to shoot like strong hand or weak hand only, but generally speaking, on a typical like USPSA stage, your grip is just going to be your usual grip. It does not change. But depending on the stage, you'll have to change your body positioning. You may want it to shoot on the move. You may have to do a lean. You may have to duck down or over something, things like that. So I think you don't necessarily want to rely on like arm um, positioning or other body positioning. You want to kind of be able to work with anything, and I think that's where it comes down to grip. Is like the grip being the most important thing, and then yeah, you might be a little worse off if you have an less than ideal body positioning, but like your grip will kind of make it okay. If that makes sense.
I think they go hand in hand. I don't think you can just say like one or the other. Grip always has to be there, but if you want to shoot to the max of your capabilities, you need to have a good body position. Just even like standing still, not moving. If your elbows are uneven, like as far as like height or tension, your shot's gonna be off. You're not gonna be able to return the gun straight up and down. You're gonna have shots going, up high right or whatever. That's kind of what happens to me. So you really have to take all of it into consideration when you're shooting, and
Yeah,
then
that's a
make
good
up
point.
for it. When you do have a compromised body position.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think I agree with you there. Any thoughts on this, Coy? Or those open guns just shoot themselves?
I mean, they pretty much do. I guess I still don't 100% understand the prompt, but I'll try. I'll try my way through this one.
That's probably my bad, but
Like
English is not Connor's first language. We have to give him an excuse.
Where are you from? No.
Where are you from?
I think what Matt was saying was where my head is at. So if I was saying it like versus, then I'd say grip first, and then to do the same things, and then like the degrees of like how body position matters would be still to like return the gun well. Like everything's to return the gun well, right? I don't think
so
sets up is really
everything is to return the gun well. I don't know if I agree with that. I think that's definitely important, but like if you just wanted to return the gun well, you would probably do like tactical turtle, arms locked out, blah blah
yeah.
blah.
You're right.
Right?
Sorry, like to maximize like
to get the shooting done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The shooting done, but also like transition well and stuff like that, because transitioning sucks too with locked like shoulders, elbows, whatever.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same page. That all makes sense.
Not a single voice of dissent. What kind of podcast is this?
Wait, are there people that actually think that?
No, I don't think there were people. So let me be very clear. I don't think there were people that said, at least not that I saw, that said like your arms matter more than grip. I think that was kind of where our conversation took us a little bit, was starting with the arm positioning and then discussing, well, that probably doesn't matter quite as much as your grip, although it does matter.
I think what happens with normies, like people who are not into performance shooting, like when they think of grip, they don't think of how much pressure to hold it with. They just think of where to put the hands.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess just by doing that, they are in fact focusing more on arm position and body position.
Yeah,
Not
and
because they're trying to, but they just kind of neglect the grip because they just don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's pretty common, I think. Like I don't think I thought about grip pressure before I got like pretty involved in competition shooting. It was more like you said.
Because you'll see a lot of novice shooters, and you'll get online and you will learn a pretty decent isosceles stance, and they'll put their hands in the right spot of the gun for the most part. Thumbs forward, grip. With normal, like put your support hand fingers in between your firing hand fingers, and you place your palm on the left side of the grip panel, whatever. Like in a picture, like it looks like a solid, good looking grip. But then as soon as they fire, like their hands split and the gun is leaving the support hand.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm trying to answer here, but it just seems like most people seem to focus more on the body position and not the grip, even though you do need both. Heavily emphasis towards the grip.
Yeah, I agree, and it's understandable, because if you like watch a video of someone really good shooting, like even if you seek out the correct information, then it's really easy to see their body positioning, but you can't really see from a video like where their tension is, at least not easily. So that's when you have to start like looking for the actual information and not just watching videos of people. All right. Well, anything else to add on this topic from anyone?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. Okay, so next up we have kind of a new little, I guess, segment we're going to do, and it's going to be a group drill. So I think what we'll do is we'll announce the drill, and then in the next episode we will discuss the drill, and that'll give everyone, including us, time to go shoot it and gather our thoughts about it. So for this first one, the drill we're going to do is bunny stacks. So if you aren't familiar with that, all you need are 2 USPSA targets. You could, if you're not watching the video, then look up bunny stacks. But if you're watching the video, I'll show you what it is. But so you could probably substitute IDPA or some other similar target as well. But the idea is you have 2 targets, you place them relatively close to each other, maybe what would you guys say, like
about a yard
apart. So you place them about a yard apart, and this is an 8-round drill. There's no reload or anything. You just draw, and you have to engage all 4 of the A zones, so the bodies and the heads effectively. But to be specific, you're not just shooting at the body or at the head, you're shooting at the individual A zones. And you can go in whatever order you like, and it's encouraged to change the order up. So you may shoot like, body on one, head on the other, body on the first one, and then head on the second one again, whatever. You can play with the order.
So clockwise, counterclockwise, diagonals.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully that description made sense. If not, you should not have a hard time finding information about that drill online. And so what we're going to do is, I don't think all of us have shot this drill, but probably not super recently. So we're all going to shoot this, and then next episode we will discuss what we learned from it and how it went. And hopefully, if you're listening to this, you will go out and either shoot it or at least dry fire it. and then you'll be able to kind of listen along and see what you think too.
So what you're saying is we're gonna hear, everyone's gonna hear from us in like 2 months, right?
Hopefully not. No promises.
So, how are you guys gonna do this drill? We're gonna shoot it to a cadence.
I am.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna shoot to a cadence with my arms locked out.
Sweet.
That's a good idea, actually. It might be kind of funny to do that, just to see if it works or not. So, what do you guys foresee being the interesting, challenging, easy, whatever aspects of this drill?
I think I'm gonna smash the time first, and then realize I missed the target 8 times.
So speaking of time, what do you guys think is a reasonable? So let's say, for the sake of our group drill, we set the targets at 5 yards. What do you guys think is a reasonable time to shoot that drill in?
2.5.
It seems pretty sporty, 2.5. Probably doable,
Yeah.
but sporty.
Yeah, that seems like on the sporty side. I want to say sub 3, but I'm not sure if that's like too lenient.
So split the difference, 2 3/4.
I'm gonna go with Matt's original. I like 2.5.
Well,
Yeah.
you should open. Your gun automatically does it.
So
Oh wait, how far is this? 5
5
yards?
5 yards.
Yeah, 5.
Oh yeah, 2.5. You guys are pussies.
yeah, two of us have irons, the other 2 have dots. So yeah, 2.5
Yeah.
for dots.
And look at how long my trigger reset is. Like mine probably has like 4 times the level, like amount of travel that Connor's gun has. So
I don't
that's
know. My
totally not fair.
reset, I think, is the same as stock.
I like how you guys are talking about reset, and I have the longest reset out of everyone here. So anyway,
Oh
No,
no,
dude,
my
my
reset's
reset-
actually really good. Never mind.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, dude, just slap the trigger like it was money. Anyway,
Look how much pre-travel I have.
Well, why don't you just trade that piece of crap in for some other gun, like a Glock or a Shadow 2?
Yeah, that's probably what I should be doing.
or an open gun.
I had to trade like 40 of these in to get an open gun.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Just screw some holes in the side and put it down on top.
Oh yeah, that'll make it an open gun. But then that doesn't fix the trigger problem.
That's your fault.
God.
All right. Well, so I think for me on the bunny sex drill, I think one of the most interesting parts is obviously transitioning between like a pretty easy target, which would be the lower A zone, to a pretty difficult target. Well, maybe not super difficult at 5 yards, but a much more difficult target being the upper A zone. So I think doing that fast is going to be the hard part. And I foresee, we'll see if this holds true, but I foresee it being like the cheat code for this drill will be to be 100% target focused for all of the shots. Because if you can just like look at the upper A zone and bring the sights perfectly there and not have to shift your vision back to the iron sights, I think it will save a decent chunk of time there.
Yeah,
guys
and
think?
staying target focused with iron sights will definitely help with the accuracy as well. Because I'm guilty of this a lot, where I've just been ingrained to shoot front sight focus for so long because I was taught by a bunch of fuds. But when you do, and Ben pointed this out to me, like when you shoot front sight focus and you're transitioning to like a tight target, what happens is when you focus on the front sight, you lose track of where the target is, so you end up overshooting it quite a bit. So I'm guilty of throwing shots over the head on this drill when I do it.
Yeah, I've noticed similar things as well. Whereas if you're purely focused on the front sight, it allows me to, even if you get lucky and kind of stay within the A zone, the sights start to drift kind of like subconsciously, because you're not honing in on a single spot on the target. You're just honing in on the sights, and so it lets you move without really
Right, you don't know where you're
stopping it.
going. It's
Yeah.
kind of like driving while staring at your front bumper.
Yeah, it's it's like you think. So this is one of the things. Again, if I foresee this happening, we'll see next time we record if this actually is the case. But so I foresee being what happens is if you're front sight focused, you're going to end up shooting a lot of Charlies and have bad accuracy on the head box and also be slower. So I think if you can keep your vision on the target, you'll not only be faster but also have better accuracy. And it seems counterintuitive because the head box is obviously the harder shot. So you think like, oh, I've got to, aim for this target. But if you can kind of fight your natural instinct on that, it'll actually make the shooting easier. Like the hard part is just forcing yourself to do it, and then the shooting gets easier.
So what are the dot concerns? Just like height over bore type stuff?
At 5 yards, kind of, but you just pick a aim point that's like right for 5 yards.
Top of the box.
I feel like the only gotcha that I'm thinking of right now is being that it's so close. It's definitely within dub range for anyone that shoots like that's a shooting tryhard already. The thing to watch out for would be like a precise stop, like dragging, that kind of thing, and what do you call it? Not looking at like a little spot, like that target focus thing you guys were talking about. You can definitely still stare at the like the whole area of the head box versus like a tiny spot. I think it matters a lot more than people give it credit for. Because you guys gonna watch the first live run that I do? I'll do everything cold just so you guys know, and then you can see my fuck ups. I'm pretty sure what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like draw to like Delta Charlie, and draw to Delta Charlie. 2 Charlies around the head, like a 2 Charlie coming down, and then again 2 Charlies going dragging up to it, and I'm pretty sure it can happen under 2.5, like super easy. I think to clean it up to all alphas under 2.5 that's probably gonna be the work.
Yeah, so if you're trying to do this drill as fast as possible, would you want to do like every single possible shortcut, like scoop draw plus prep the trigger extremely aggressively? All those things.
I don't know. So I don't think so. When you say shortcuts, I hear like do unproductive behaviors to try to cheat the time. I think like prepping the trigger is not really an unproductive thing. I think scoop draw can be kind of sketch. I've quit doing it. I do the other thing. I don't know what it's called anymore.
Index
I
draw.
do whatever it is you call it. The what?
Index draw.
What's that?
Is that what it's called? I don't know.
I have no clue.
grab
I
the
mean,
gun?
it's kind of like the standard coming on top of the gun kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, that's what I do.
I guess I do what is like called a hybrid draw, where you kind of go around the back strap and you kind of lift the gun out like a scoop draw, but you still grab the whole grip before you pull it out of the holster, kind of like a traditional draw.
If I disappear before the next time we do a podcast, it's because I definitely did not hit it in 2.5 seconds. So
2.5 seconds seems pretty sporty to me. I'm not
But
sure.
we're also lowly iron shooters.
Yeah.
no, but I mean, think about it, right? Like you can shoot a bill drill at twice the distance. A bill drill at twice the distance in 2 seconds.
Yeah, but
No,
there's no smaller targets there. Like obviously the head boxes are the hard part. So
yeah. Plus you've got 2 of them.
yeah.
So the transitions and the splits will be slower.
So here's an interesting. So this is kind of tangentially related. If you wanted to do the, let's say 2.5 seconds is the time. I'm still a little nervous about that, but let's say 2.5 seconds is the time. If you wanted to practice and make yourself get this in 2.5 seconds, the game plan would be to dry fire it. What would you guys set your par time to for dry firing it?
I'd do 2.5 just to get a sanity check. If it's like way off, like right away, then I'll know that's not going to happen. If it's like makeable already, then probably like 2.3 or something like that. And then
Really, 2.3.
And then start looking for weird, sketchy stuff like not stopping the gun or arresting the gun, like on the, especially like on the box targets.
Yeah. I was
I mean,
thinking setting the part-time closer to 2 would be required to like account for the lack of ammo.
I like to
But
walk
I
it
don't
down.
know.
I like to
Yeah.
walk it down.
Really, I like to go 80%.
Yeah, 80% is my rule of thumb too.
I don't know what the actual time is, so I'm gonna do
I don't
like
either. We'll
2.5
probably get out there and we'll be like
sandwich
shoot it
egg.
in like 3.5 seconds and look like a bunch of idiots.
6 seconds.
Yeah, you guys will know we have not done this before recording. So
You know, we can all just lie about our times and our hits. Like that's probably what most
No,
people do.
Like that was
you
gonna
have to
happen.
you have to put the timer in the video and show the hits. There's no shenanigans going on. You guys will see all of my Charlies in my 4-second run. So
Kevin already called me fat. I don't know if I can handle it.
just shoot
I
it with your
just think-
PCC.
I
Oh,
didn't
shit,
use
that's
the word
right.
fat.
you just
Say
say your
I'm
camera
fit.
broke or whatever.
Because I sat on it.
Oh my god. Okay, so any other tidbits about bunny stacks that is important before we all go try this and hopefully get some other people to try it too?
I think we're good.
Cool.
No
Well,
bunnies were harmed in the making of this drill.
Yeah, just to be very clear. So thank you everyone for listening. Stay tuned for next time where we will talk about how this drill went for us.
Yay.